Hi, I'm Bob Breithaupt from Capital University in Columbus, Ohio. Today we're going to talk about something that many young students and in fact some older folks don't know that much about in our business, and that is the brushes, the drum brushes. The history of these things are very interesting. They really started out as replacements for sticks, and they were fly killers, literally fly swatters. And in the 20s, drum companies began to manufacture actual brushes as stick replacements. They became critical to the sound of swing and really popular music all the way through the 40s, 50s, and certainly into the 60s and beyond. One of the things that we have to remember about this instrument is that they are not sticks, they're brushes. So they're played differently, not only in terms of the volume or intensity, but also the way in which you move them on the surface. So it's important for us to understand that the brush moves laterally around a surface like this, okay? Now, we can practice brushes on a drum. We have, Remo makes an actual brush drum pad, which looks and sounds like this, a little softer. But you could actually use a piece of cardboard, a pizza box, or anything else to get the basic motions and intent of the brushes. So we start with making sure that we have a grip that maintains a flat position on the surface. Now, what we have to understand is to maintain this flat surface like this, we actually have to turn our wrist up like this, similar to an American or French-style timpani grip. So we would be moving our wrists this way to get the brushes to move flat and laterally, okay? So kind of like a swan. Now, if you notice, I'm using traditional grip, which is quite common with brush players, and then certainly the standard grip in the right hand. There's no problem in using match grip. You just maintain two like hand positions and wrist positions and move laterally, all right? The motions that we use on the brush surface begin with ovals or large circles. So I suggest when I'm doing live teaching or clinics that we start very large. So imagine being in front of a group of people and moving your hands this way, one clockwise and one counterclockwise. My hands move most comfortably like this. Others move comfortably the other way. It doesn't make any difference. But we start this way, okay, in time, in time. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we can take our hands and put them on the surface of the drum, and our fingers become the brushes, and we move like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, always in time, motion in time. 2, 3, 4. Then we grab the brushes. Again, we've got this grip right here, one below, and the initial sort of ballad brush pattern that we play is now, if you notice, my arms, wrists, and hands are moving simultaneously at the same time. If we get one out of whack with the other, the time sort of goes away. So this is the first pattern that we use, sort of a ballad pattern, and literally we can just very lightly strike the bass drum, which is sometimes called feathering the bass drum, and two and Now, I'm sure there are many of you out there that are listening to this and saying, boy, I've never heard my student be able to play brushes this way. It just is a simple set of motions such as this can make a great deal of difference. So for a simple ballad, slow tune, just making sure that the brushes stay on the surface, move in time, and then just add bass drum and hi-hat as I just did. Is a very basic ballad pattern for brushes. The second pattern that I want to talk about really is sort of what would be in a slow swing. And so it's important for us to have images that we can talk to folks about. So if we think about windshield wipers, 1, 2, 1, 2, or 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to the drum, one, hands apart in this case. It could be like this, but okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Brushes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Add the bass drum and the hi-hat. Now, if you notice, I haven't done any kind of accents or motion in that way. I'm just getting the motion down. So again, windshield wipers on the drum, and then with the brushes. The next thing that we can do is to talk about how do we get that sort of standard swing or jazz brush pattern that we so often hear. Again, it's very important to try to keep the brushes on the surface as much as you can, because they are brushes, they're not sticks. They're very powerful little implements in that you don't want to overplay them. But if we go back to thinking about a basic swing pattern and we incorporate a sort of a fundamental ride pattern, you've heard this many times, okay, on the ride cymbal or over on the hi-hat. Now we're going to do it here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm lifting very slightly, but not. No need to do that. One, two, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, just like that. All right? Now, the next thing that we have to do is how do we play an accent, or how do we phrase with the brushes? This is sometimes referred to as shading, and by shading on brushes is when we put a little bit of pressure into the brush, or maybe flick it with our fingers to produce an accent. So, you can notice that between the shading and the pressure or the flicking, I've got a variety of phrasing and accents. So if we just start very simply with this. Okay, so that is shading. So we push down or we flick with the fingers. So to review, let's make sure that we have the idea of the big motions here, in time, in 4, applied down here to the drum, making sure the brushes are flat. We have to use this kind of a motion to keep the brushes flat. We then think about the slower swing or or other, this way in terms of windshield wipers. And of course, we can, as we move faster, we shrink the motions down, much like we think about in drumming in terms of the level system. So that's pretty quick, but it's nice and easy. And if you notice, the motion of my arms and hands is in time, both right and left. And the shading, I hope this has been helpful. It's a very quick overview, but I think the principles of what I just outlined are something that you can talk to your students about. We do realize that this instrument, the drum set, is an orally learned instrument. We must listen, we must use our ears, our eyes, we must try to sing. So it's an oral, and with the gift of sight, visual instrument. So if we use all those tools, we are making sure that we listen to the application of these. It's just not enough to know about the technique. But where do we hear this? Well, we can hear it. We go back and listen to the Oscar Peterson Trio, the Bill Evans Trio. Great players of past years, and certainly some of the great opportunities that we have on YouTube to check out players. My pal Jeff Hamilton and his trio, of course. He's got some great YouTube visuals. Ed Soph and many others, including a great video that Steve Smith and Adam Nussbaum did a number of years ago, sort of on a variety of brush masters, if you can find that. But all of these things are available through the wonderful resources that we have on YouTube. I'd like to thank my sponsors, Innovative Percussion, who makes this particular brush. It's nice and loose and has a whip to it that's nice. This is the WBR-1X, so that's Innovative Percussion. Remo, that made the pad that I showed you here. This is the Ed Thigpen, another great legendary brush player. The Brush Up pad by Ed Thigpen, Remo makes that. And then, of course, Yamaha and SABIAN. So I'd like to also thank, once again, the Midwest Clinic for the opportunity to do this. And if anyone wants to get in touch with me directly, please contact me at capital.edu/percussion. Thank you very much, and we'll look forward to seeing you live and in person at Midwest in the future. Thank you.